Hey, it's Deb. Welcome to my channel. Hey, welcome back to another video where I talk about my millennial perspective on life and motherhood. I'm very excited to bring you a video today on my tips and tricks for traveling with a newborn. When Hadley was about 6 weeks old, we went ahead and took her on her first trip. We're a big travel family. That's a big part of who we are. We were very excited to take her along with us. So if you're excited for this video, hit that subscribe button, like this video, ding that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So today I'm going to give you my top 6 tips on how to travel with a newborn. Today we're going to specifically be covering how to fly with a newborn. If you really want to hear about more tips for traveling on things like metros, taxis, ferries, etc., go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'd be excited to bring a video for you on that as well. Tip number 1 is to make sure you pack your diaper bag specifically for the trip. When you're just running around town and you have it in your car, especially if you live in the Midwest like I do, you're probably not going to have the same type of things in the same spaces as you would if you were flying. So I would make sure to unpack your diaper bag before you get there and go ahead and repack it, and think about making sure everything's very easy to access, making sure that your diaper bag fits underneath the seat, and making sure that whatever you're going to need, whether you're breastfeeding or formula feeding, you have what you need there easy to grab. A few essentials for me were definitely my carrier, making sure I had something to feed Hadley with. I personally breastfeed, and so I wanted something that I could cover her up with. I decided to go ahead and take a large muslin cloth with me. I'll link some down below that you could try out. We use this as a blanket for her, and we also use this as a cover for breastfeeding. It also served as a rag if we needed one. It had multiple purposes, and I had a couple in the bag so we could go ahead and grab them in case she used one and we needed to replace it. Another key item for us was making sure we had a lot of pacifiers packed. Our baby loves pacifiers. She's had them since day one, has not had a problem with latching, so we give them to her on an at-need basis. So we made sure that she not only had a pacifier on her, that we carried another package of pacifiers in our diaper bag. We also made sure and picked up a pacifier clip to clip to her. I really don't use this on a daily basis because she's not running around and she tends to keep the pacifiers on her or in her car seat or her bassinet, but on the plane it was nice to have it clipped to her because planes are notorious for carrying all types of things you wouldn't want on a pacifier, so having it clipped to her was definitely a plus. We also made sure to pack her in warm clothes and had a backup in case she had an accident or she spat up on her clothes. It does tend to be a little bit cooler on planes, and you should really always dress your baby one layer warmer than you. So we made sure to bring a hat, long sleeves, and pants, even though we were flying in July. Tip number 2, make sure you bring a great stroller carrier combo. These 2 items were essential for me, not only getting on the plane and going through security, but also while we were there. We made sure that we had a stroller we were confident in. Since she was that small, we actually brought the bassinet attachment for our Up-A-Baby Vista instead of bringing the car seat. We really don't like to keep her in it for extended periods of time. The bassinet is something that she sleeps in at night, and so we made sure to bring that because it was a comfortable place for her whenever we were in a lot of new strange places. A carrier is also essential, especially when you're going through security. When you go through security, they really don't make special accommodations for you. You have to go through just like everyone else. You take off your shoes, you have to bring out your electronics. It's just the same exact way as when you go through without a baby. And then you have the added necessity of holding a baby the whole time. So having a carrier while going through security was essential. Now do know that they may make you take the carrier off. They did have me take the carrier off when I was taking her through. Our carrier has a little metal piece attached to it, so it couldn't go through the metal detector anyways, but do know even if you have maybe a Solly baby wrap or something else, they may make you take it off, but it's definitely something I appreciated having. We rolled her to the gate in our stroller. You do not have to check your stroller at the counter. I would take it all the way to the gate and have them gate check it. It's probably also better to keep it safe and keep it from getting tussled around whenever all the bags go through all the security and go under the plane if you gate check it instead. You also need to make sure you know how to collapse down the stroller. Well, strollers are great items. They did make us put them through the x-ray machine, and our stroller has wheels that come off, so they actually asked us to even even take the wheels off of the stroller whenever we put it through security. Luckily, my husband knows how to take apart and put together the stroller very quickly, so we weren't taken aback by this. But just make sure that you're very comfortable in how to collapse down the stroller and how to put it back together quickly, because going through security can sometimes be a little bit intimidating when you have so many items. Tip number 3, prepare beforehand who's in charge of what. This was a great tip I heard from some other moms here on YouTube. I didn't even think about it until we got there. Within the hustle and bustle of getting the baby in the carrier, going through security, getting out of security, getting on the plane, putting away all of our things, it got a little confusing and flustering at times knowing who was taking care of what. We each had a carry-on bag. We had the diaper bag for Hadley, we had the stroller, and we had the stroller carry-on bag, and we had the carrier that was outside of all of those things. We had computers, electronics, cameras, so there was a lot of things to keep up with. So make sure beforehand you chat with whoever you have going with you and see how you can break apart everything and make it a lot easier to manage. Make sure you know what electronics you're going to be taking through security and decide who's going to be taking them out, putting them in the bins. Also make sure that you know who's going to be getting the bags out of security and who's going to be putting the stroller back together. The worst thing would be to go all the way to the gate, almost get on the plane and realize you left a carry-on bag or you left the diaper bag back at security. One other thing I will note about the strollers, make sure you have a travel bag. We made sure to pick up a travel bag for our UPPAbaby Vista. If you do have an UPPAbaby product, they actually have a great travel system where you can purchase their bag, you can register the bag on the website, and you can travel with it with the knowledge that if something happens to your stroller while it's in transport, they will replace it as long as it's on the flight and as long as you have it registered. So check out your stroller company and see if they have something similar to this. Our bag even had wheels on it, which made it really easy whenever I was carrying multiple bags and carrying Hadley, knowing how we were going to get everything on and off. Having the stroller have wheels in the bag just made it so much easier. Tip number 4, specifically for breastfeeding mamas. So I was a little worried going out in public breastfeeding for the first time. I've now really gotten used to it, especially after going to places like Washington D.C. and New York City, where I had to breastfeed in public all the time. But at the beginning, I was really apprehensive. I was worried someone might say something to me. They might not like the fact that I was breastfeeding, but you just have to know that you're doing what you need for your baby. You have to cover up the best of your ability. If you don't want to cover up, then don't cover up. You don't have to do that. It's within your right to feed your child when your child needs to be fed. One thing we did that I was a big fan of is we actually brought some milk with us. I do also pump because I will be going back to work at the end of September, and so I've started pumping and building up a little bit of a supply. So I went ahead and pumped and brought 1 serving of milk in a little bag to bring on the plane just in case. I didn't know if maybe Hadley would be extra hungry. I didn't want her to fuss and me not be able to feed her if she had to cluster feed at the moment. I didn't want to have to be in that environment on a plane where I can't calm her down. You are allowed to bring milk and a breast pump on the plane. Just be aware that it may be difficult depending on what security you have. I've read tons of articles about security trying to make moms throw their milk away, saying that they can't bring the liquid on board. Just know that when you get through security, you can bring it on. My recommendation is to alert the people who you're going through security with that you have breast milk, that you have a pump with you, and that you're bringing them on. If they give you any problems, go ahead and tell them it's within your right to bring it on the plane. They didn't like the fact that we brought an ice pack, but we went ahead and talked them into letting us bring the ice pack on board because we explained that if we didn't have the ice pack, the milk would go bad and it would defeat the entire purpose of bringing the milk on the plane. So make sure that you stand it for yourself and that you bring what you need on the plane for your baby. Tip number 5, go with the flow. I am a type B personality, and that really helped me out on the plane. I was really apprehensive, and even for me, I had a lot of anxiety going into it. What was it going to be like? Was I going to get ridiculed? What about the breast milk I was bringing on? How are we going to handle all of this? But you just have to calm down and know that it's going to be okay. If your baby cries on the flight, it's going to be fine. You will most likely never see those people again, and you've probably already sat on a plane or a bus where you've heard a child crying. And whenever you weren't the mom, you were most likely understanding of what was happening with the child. Hadley did great on both of her flights. She actually slept the entire time and was perfectly happy. So there was really nothing for me to worry about. So just rest assured that it will most likely be fine, and even if they cry during the flight, people are understanding, and even if somebody says something to you on the off chance that they do, it's none of their business, and you're allowed to take your baby out and still live your life. You don't let fear keep you from going and living your life and bringing your baby along with you. One One thing that definitely did help us with feeling better when we were on the plane was changing Hadley before we got on the plane and after we got off. Our flight was about 3.5 to 4 hours, and so we were able to keep her in one diaper during the flight. Another tip, especially for you mamas, make sure that if you have somebody with you that's helping you, give them a turn holding the baby. It just really actually wore me out, and I wasn't prepared for that. So make sure you ask for help and you give your baby to other people. You need to take a break, and your baby will thank you if you have strong arms to be able to feed them throughout the rest of the time, especially if you're used to having a comfortable setup. At home here, I have my rocking chair. It's right behind me where I feed Hadley every single time. I've got a boppy set up. I'm in a comfortable environment. When you're on a plane, it's not that way. It made the tops of my shoulders and my back hurt really bad. So I was very thankful to pass her off to give myself a little bit of a break in between feedings, and I could actually enjoy getting out of the house and traveling, especially after labor. And my last tip, number 6, don't forget about yourself. I totally forgot that I was going to be on the plane too. I was so prepared for Hadley. I'd watched tons of videos. I had my diaper bag packed. I was ready to go. We had backups of everything. My family was briefed. My husband knew how we were going to take things. We'd gotten the travel bag. We were all ready to go. I get on the plane, prepared. I feed her. And then I didn't have anything for myself. So make sure you don't forget that you're gonna be on the plane too. I've flown all over the world. I love traveling, and I hope to take you guys with me sometime. But whenever I flew, I always brought something for me to do, at least a book or a magazine, an article, downloading Netflix. You need to make sure you have something for yourself, because odds are you're probably gonna feed your baby and they're gonna be good for the rest of the flight. So then you're gonna sit there and not have anything to do. And especially having this precious little baby, I was a little bit more worried about what if something happens to the plane? Even though I know that it's most likely going to be perfectly fine and we only have a couple of hours left, it's nice to have something to occupy yourself. So don't forget about yourself. Make sure, especially if you're breastfeeding, that you bring snacks. Pick up some sort of water whenever you're on the plane. I got one of the large smart water bottles on my way back, and that was a lot better than on the way there whenever I didn't even bring a thing of water with me. Even though you can get water from the people on board, you still have to wait during the whole takeoff and the landing, and the water they give you is in tiny cups. And if you're breastfeeding, you need to be consuming a lot of liquid. So make sure you have something for yourself, make sure you're not skipping meals, and make sure that you have something to entertain yourself. I hope some of these tips were helpful for you, and I really want to encourage you, make sure that you travel. Don't wait till your baby is 6 months old or a year old. Get out there, go out there and live your life. You will definitely thank yourself, and you will have wonderful memories and wonderful pictures to remember back on when your baby is older. That's all for today. Thanks. Catch you in the next one.